They got him. They finally got Aiden Ross. The internet don't forget, and hip-hop don't forgive. After everything he said about Doja Cat, the disrespect, the name-calling, his whole world just collapsed. Canceled deals, blocked streams, and attacks he'll never forget. Everybody thought Aiden was untouchable, just another edgy streamer saying wild stuff for clicks, right? That's what people believed. He built his whole brand off controversy, off saying the most out-of-pocket things and getting away with it. But this time was different. Because when you cross the line and start attacking a black woman's intelligence, her humanity, calling her all kinds of names that have nothing to do with her music, the culture steps in. And what happened next? A full-blown reckoning. Glasses Malone led the charge. Drake ghosted him at his own store. His deals got canceled, and he got taxed 100 bands just to make it stop. Let me break this down from the beginning so you see exactly how this unfolded. Aiden Ross went on stream and started talking reckless about Doja Cat. Now listen, people have opinions about artists all the time. That's normal. You don't like someone's music? Cool. You think they're overhyped? Say it. But Aiden didn't stop there. He crossed into a whole different territory. He started calling her unintelligent, called her out her name, disrespected her as a human being. And for anyone who's black, you know exactly what that language means. You know the undertones, you know the history behind it. It wasn't about her music anymore. It was about her as a black woman. That's the line, and he stomped all over it. Now, Glasses Malone, one of the realest voices in hip-hop right now, he wasn't having it. He hopped online and said, nah, we not letting this slide. We not about to sit here and watch you disrespect her like that. And Aiden, he tried to double down. He kept saying he didn't have to apologize. He tried to call up Wack 100 like, yo, be my PR, defend me. And at first, Wack kind of played along, didn't even know the full story. But then the phone calls started coming in. People from the industry, people with weight, and even Wack switched up. He was like, yeah, you might want to chill on this one. But Aiden kept pushing. He kept acting like the internet was just going to forget, like this was all just noise that would blow over in a day or two. And that's when the consequences started rolling in. First, a major basketball player was supposed to come on his stream. Huge deal, big content. But guess what? Last-minute cancellation. Why? Because their PR team called and said, we're not associating with this right now, not with everything going on. That's a direct hit to his brand. That's real money walking away. And you could see it in his face. The realization started to set in. This wasn't just internet drama anymore. This was real life. Then the clips started surfacing. People were watching old streams, old rants, piecing together a pattern. And the more they dug, the worse it looked. Because it wasn't just Doja. It was a whole vibe, a whole attitude. Aiden had been moving like someone who thought he was untouchable, like the rules didn't apply to him. And the internet, they turned into detectives. They went frame by frame through his old content. They pulled up moments where he said wild stuff about other people. They cross-referenced his friendships and noticed he kept surrounding himself with people who had weird cases. 6ix9ine, academics who's been called out for creepy behavior with minors. It's like he built a whole crew of people the culture already rejected. And now people are asking, why? Why is that your circle? What does that say about you? And here's the thing that really exposes him. When Glasses came at him, Aiden immediately went to stereotypes. He started talking about baby mamas and deadbeat dads, and Glasses doesn't even have kids. That's racism. That's not a debate. That's not an opinion. That's you seeing a black man and your brain automatically going to the most racist stereotype you can think of. And that moment, that's when people realized, oh, this isn't just about Doja. This dude has a real problem. The mask slipped. And once the internet sees that, there's no putting it back on. So now Aiden's scrambling. He's trying to control the narrative. He's on stream saying stuff like, oh, I'm gonna take a break from going hard at people. I'm gonna chill this off season. But notice how he won't say Doja's name. He won't admit what he did. He's trying to act like this is just him deciding to mature on his own when really he got pressed. He got cornered. And the only reason he's backing off is because his pockets got hit and his safety got questioned. That's not growth, that's fear. Now let's talk about why this happened, because this isn't random. Aiden Ross didn't just wake up one day and decide to go after Doja Cat for no reason. There's a pattern here, there's a motive. And when you understand where he's coming from, the whole thing starts to make sense. Aiden built his career off being the edgy white kid who could say anything. He made millions by platforming controversial figures. He brought on Andrew Tate. He brought on Donald Trump. He made himself the go-to guy for people who wanted to push boundaries and say stuff that would get them canceled anywhere else. And for a while, it worked. He was pulling in insane numbers, huge sponsorships, massive deals. He was one of the biggest streamers on the planet. But here's the thing about that model. It's not sustainable. Because once you build your brand off controversy, you have to keep escalating. You have to keep saying more shocking things to stay relevant. And eventually, you hit a wall. You say something that crosses the line so far that even your audience can't defend you anymore. And for Aiden, this was that moment. Because attacking Doja wasn't just edgy content, it was mean-spirited. It was rooted in misogyny and racism, and people could feel it. Even his own fans started questioning him. They were like, wait, why is he so angry at her? What did she even do? And that's when the wheels started falling off. Let's also talk about the company he keeps, because that's a huge part of this. Aiden's closest collaborators are people the culture already rejected. 6ix9ine is a literal snitch with a case involving a minor. Academics has been accused of creepy behavior with underage kids, making sexual comments to teenagers, and he's been called out for it repeatedly. These are not the people you associate with if you want to be taken seriously. These are not the people you platform if you care about accountability. And the fact that Aiden keeps defending them, keeps bringing them on stream, keeps acting like they're misunderstood, that tells you everything about his values, or lack thereof. Now let's go deeper into Glasses Malone's role, because Glasses didn't just call him out for clout. This wasn't a publicity stunt. Glasses is someone who genuinely cares about the culture. He saw what Aiden was doing and said, nah, we can't let this slide. And he didn't just tweet about it and move on. He stayed on it. He kept pressing. He made sure Aiden felt the pressure. And that's what leadership looks like. That's what accountability looks like. Because without Glasses, this probably would have blown over. Aiden would have moved on to the next controversy, but Glasses wouldn't let him. He held the line, and other people followed his lead. And then Drake got involved. Now, Drake's relationship with all these internet personalities is transactional. Let's be clear about that. Drake uses people for clout and then disappears when they're no longer useful. He did it with academics, he's done it with others, and he did it with Aiden. But in this case, Drake actually did the right thing. When Aiden and academics showed up to the OVO store expecting to link up with Drake, he ghosted them. Just straight up ignored their calls. And they sat there looking stupid, trying to figure out what happened. And the optics of that? Brutal. Because it sent a message. It said, you're not welcome here. You're toxic, and I don't want to be associated with you. That's a power move. And whether Drake did it out of principle or just self-preservation, the result is the same. Aiden got humiliated. Now let's talk about the money, because that's what really made Aiden change his tune. People were threatening him online, and instead of just brushing it off like he usually does, he called the police. He said he felt unsafe. He said people were making terroristic threats. And look, I'm not saying people should be threatening violence, that's not the move, but it's interesting how quickly Aiden went from I can say whatever I want to I need protection, the moment he realized people were serious. And that's the difference between the internet and real life. On the internet, Aiden thought he was invincible. In real life, he's terrified. And the internet saw that fear. They smelled blood in the water, and they kept pressing. So what did Aiden do? He reached into his pocket. He donated $100,000 to Black-owned businesses. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a good thing, but let's keep it real. He didn't do that out of the kindness of his heart. He did it because he got taxed. He did it because people with real influence told him, you're gonna pay for what you said, one way or another. And he paid. That's not charity. That's a shakedown. That's accountability. And honestly, that's how it should be. Because for too long, people like Aiden have been able to disrespect the culture, profit off the culture, and face zero consequences. Not this time. This time, he paid, literally.
But here's the part that really gets me. Through all of this, the person who suffered the most was Doja Cat, and she didn't even ask for this. She's just out here making music, living her life, doing her thing. And for some reason, Aiden decided to make her a target. He called her stupid, he questioned her intelligence, he talked about her like she was less than human. And for what? Views? Engagement? To impress his audience? That's sick. That's genuinely messed up. Because Doja is a human being. She's someone's daughter. She's worked her whole life to get where she is, and she has to sit there and watch some random streamer tear her down for content. And think about the toll that takes. Think about what it's like to be a black woman in the public eye, constantly having to defend your existence, constantly being disrespected, constantly being told you're not smart enough, not talented enough, not worthy of the success you've earned. That's exhausting. That's traumatizing. And the fact that Aiden thought it was okay to add to that, just so he could get some laughs on stream, that's evil. There's no other word for it. And the people who defended him, the people who said, oh, it's just jokes, he didn't mean it, y'all are part of the problem. Because it's never just jokes. Words have weight. Words have consequences. And when you use your platform to dehumanize someone, you're not just entertaining, you're causing harm. Now, I want to give credit where it's due, because Joe Budden got brought into this conversation and people tried to drag him for having negative opinions about Doja's music in the past. But here's the thing. Joe critiquing her artistry is not the same as Aiden attacking her character. Joe can think her music is overhyped or whatever. That's his opinion. But he's never called her stupid. He's never disrespected her as a person. And when Aiden crossed that line, Joe stood with the culture. He stood with Glasses. He said, nah, this is different. This is about respect. And people need to understand that distinction. Because if you can't tell the difference between critiquing someone's art and attacking their humanity, you're missing the entire point of this situation. The issue was never about whether people like Doja's music. The issue is that Aiden tried to strip her of her dignity. And the culture said, nah, not this time, not ever again.
So let's go back to the evidence, because there's more, a lot more. And the deeper you dig into this situation, the worse it gets for Aiden. After Glasses called him out, people started going through Aiden's entire online history. And what they found was a pattern of disrespect toward black people, black culture, and black women specifically. This wasn't a one-time thing. This wasn't a slip-up. This was how he operates, and the clips don't lie. People pulled up moments where he made jokes about black stereotypes, moments where he laughed at racist comments in his chat and didn't shut them down, moments where he used black slang, black culture, black music to build his brand, and then turned around and disrespected the very people who created it. That's colonization. That's exploitation. And people are tired of it. Now, let's talk about the phone calls, because this is where the power dynamics really show up. After Glasses pressed him, Aiden tried to get Wack 100 to defend him. And at first, Wack kinda did. He was like, I don't know the full context, but Aiden's my guy. But then, the calls started coming in. People with real weight in the industry. People who told Wack, if you keep defending this, you're gonna be on the wrong side of history. And Wack switched up fast. He got on the phone with Glasses and was like, yeah, maybe Aiden should chill. That's how you know this was serious, because Wack 100 is not someone who backs down easily. But even he saw the writing on the wall. Even he realized this wasn't a battle worth fighting. And then Drake. Oh man, Drake. So Aiden and Academax pull up to the OVO store in Toronto. They're expecting to hang out, maybe get some content, show off their connection to Drake. But Drake, he doesn't show up. His phone is off. They're sitting there waiting like two kids who got stood up at prom, and the cameras are rolling. The whole internet is watching them look stupid in real time. And that moment right there, that's when Aiden realized he lost. Because if Drake won't even associate with you anymore, if Drake, who's been friendly with all kinds of controversial figures, is cutting you off, that's a death sentence for your brand. Drake uses people, everybody knows that. But the moment you become a liability, he's gone. And Aiden became a liability. Let's also talk about the comments Aiden made about Glasses, because this is where his racism really showed. When Glasses came at him, Aiden immediately went to, why don't you take care of your kids? Why don't you handle your baby mamas? Classic racist stereotype. The problem? Glasses doesn't have kids. So Aiden just exposed himself. He saw a black man and his brain went straight to deadbeat dad. That's not a mistake. That's not a slip of the tongue. That's what he really thinks. And people caught it immediately. They were like, hold on, why would you assume that? Why is that where your mind goes? And Aiden had no answer. Because there is no answer. It's just racism, plain and simple. Now, the money angle, because this is where it gets interesting. Aiden's whole business model depends on staying relevant. He needs big guests, he needs viral moments, he needs sponsors, and all of that started falling apart. The basketball player canceling on him, that was just the beginning. Reports started coming out that other celebrities were backing out of planned streams. Brands started distancing themselves. His numbers started dropping. And for someone whose entire career is built on hype and attention, that's a death spiral. Because once the momentum stops, it's really hard to get it back, and Aiden knows that. That's why he pivoted so fast. That's why he suddenly started talking about donating money and taking a break from controversy, because he's desperate. He's trying to salvage what's left of his career, and the internet isn't letting him forget. People are still digging, they're still finding old clips, they're still holding him accountable, and every time he tries to move on, someone brings it back up. That's the beauty of the internet. It doesn't forget, it doesn't forgive. And for someone like Aiden, who built his career off being untouchable, that's terrifying, because now he realizes he's not untouchable. He's just another dude who said the wrong thing to the wrong people, and now he's paying the price. And honestly, it's about time, because for too long, people like him have been able to disrespect the culture, profit off the culture, and walk away clean. Not anymore. The culture is fighting back, and Aiden Ross is just the first example of what happens when you cross the line.
Now, let's zoom out for a second and talk about the bigger picture. Because this isn't just about Aiden Ross. This is about a whole ecosystem of internet personalities who've been getting away with disrespecting Black culture for years. And it's not just streamers, it's YouTubers, podcasters, influencers, people who use Black slang, Black music, Black aesthetics to build their brands, and then turn around and disrespect the very people who created those things. And for a long time, there were no consequences. They could say whatever they wanted, do whatever they wanted, and the culture would just absorb it. But something shifted. People are tired. People are done being disrespected. And now there's accountability, real accountability, and it's beautiful to watch. Let's talk about Academics for a second, because he's been mentioned a lot in this situation, and for good reason. Academics built his career off covering violence in Black communities. He made millions off reporting on gang conflicts, rappers dying, street beef, and he did it with this weird sense of glee, like he enjoyed it, like it was entertainment to him. And when people called him out, he'd say, "I'm just reporting the news." But nah, you're profiting off Black death. You're turning tragedy into content, and you're doing it without any empathy, without any humanity. And now, when the culture turns on him, when people start threatening him, he calls the police. He wants protection. He wants the same system that oppresses Black people to save him from Black people. And people see the irony. They see the hypocrisy, and they're not letting it slide. And then there's 6ix9ine, another one of Aiden's close friends, a literal snitch with a case involving a minor. And Aiden still platforms him, still defends him, still acts like he's just misunderstood. And people are asking, why? Why do you keep surrounding yourself with people like this? What does that say about you? And the answer is obvious. It says that Aiden doesn't care about morals. He doesn't care about accountability. He cares about clout. He cares about views. And he'll associate with anyone, no matter how toxic, as long as it benefits him. And that's the problem. Because when you build your brand off toxicity, eventually it comes back to bite you. And that's exactly what's happening now. Let's also talk about the response from the Black community, because this wasn't just manliest glasses. This was a collective effort. People from all corners of the culture stepped up. Rappers, producers, influencers, everyday people on Twitter. Everybody was on the same page. Everybody said, nah, we're not letting this slide. And that unity, that's powerful. Because too often the culture is divided. Too often we're fighting each other instead of the people who disrespect us. But in this case, everybody locked in. Everybody stood together, and that's why Aiden couldn't escape, because it wasn't just one person coming at him, it was the entire culture. And when the culture moves as one, you can't win. You just can't. And the funniest part? Aiden thought he could just weather the storm. He thought if he laid low for a few days, it would blow over. But it didn't. It got worse. More people got involved. More clips surfaced. More celebrities cut ties. And Aiden started realizing, oh, this is real. This isn't just internet noise, this is my career falling apart in real time. And that panic, you could see it in his streams. You could hear it in his voice. He started backtracking, started saying he was misunderstood, started trying to play the victim. But nobody was buying it because we all saw what he said. We all heard the disrespect. And no amount of damage control was going to change that. The internet has receipts. And once the internet has receipts, it's over. There's no coming back from that. You just got to take the L and move on. And that's exactly what Aiden's doing now, whether he wants to admit it or not.
So what does all this mean? What are the bigger implications of what we just watched unfold? Because this is about more than just one streamer getting pressed. This is about the culture setting a precedent. This is about the culture saying enough is enough. For too long, people have been able to exploit Black culture, disrespect Black people, and profit off our pain without facing any consequences. And every time someone tried to hold them accountable, they'd hide behind free speech, or it's just entertainment, or people are too sensitive. But none of that works anymore, because the culture is organized now. The culture has power now, and the culture is using that power to demand respect. What we're seeing here is a shift in how accountability works in the digital age. It's not just about cancel culture anymore. It's about economic pressure. It's about social pressure. It's about making it so uncomfortable, so financially damaging to disrespect the culture that people think twice before they do it. And that's what happened to Aiden. He didn't just get called out, he got cut off. Deals canceled, streams blocked, friends distancing, money lost. And that's the kind of accountability that actually works, because people like Aiden don't care about being called racist. They care about their bank accounts. They care about their careers. And when you hit them there, they change real quick. This is also a warning to everyone else who thinks they can move like Aiden and get away with it. You can't, not anymore. The internet is watching. The culture is watching. And if you cross the line, there will be consequences, real consequences. Not just angry tweets, not just think pieces, but actual, tangible damage to your career and your reputation. And that's how it should be, because respect isn't optional. You don't get to profit off Black culture and then disrespect Black people. You don't get to use our slang, our music, our aesthetics, and then turn around and call us unintelligent. It doesn't work like that. And if you try it, you'll end up like Aiden, pressed, taxed, and humiliated. And here's the beautiful part. This wasn't organized by some big corporation or PR team. This was grassroots. This was the culture moving as one. This was everyday people, influencers, artists, all saying the same thing at the same time. And that's the power of collective action. That's the power of unity. Because when the culture is divided, we're weak. But when we lock in, when we stand together, we're unstoppable. And that's what Aiden ran into. Not just one person, not just one voice, but the full weight of the culture. And he couldn't handle it. Nobody could. So where does Aiden go from here? That's the question everybody's asking, because his career as we knew it, it's over. Maybe not permanently, but definitely for the foreseeable future. He burned too many bridges. He lost too much credibility. And most importantly, he lost the trust of the culture. And once you lose that, it's almost impossible to get back, because people don't forget. The internet doesn't forget. And every time he tries to make a comeback, someone's gonna bring up the Doja situation. Someone's gonna post the clips. Someone's gonna remind everybody what he said. And that's the scariest part for him, because he can't escape it. It's part of his legacy now. Some people think he's gonna rebrand. Maybe take a long break, come back with a more mature image, maybe even apologize for real this time. But I don't buy it, because people like Aiden don't change. They just get better at hiding who they really are. And the moment he thinks the heat is off, the moment he thinks people forgot, he'll go right back to his old ways. Because that's who he is. That's what got him famous in the first place. And he's not gonna abandon that just because he got pressed one time. He's gonna wait it out, lay low, and then try to sneak back in. But the culture will be waiting. The culture always is. There's also speculation about what happens with his inner circle. Are academics and 6ix9ine gonna distance themselves? Are they gonna try to rehabilitate their own images by cutting ties with Aiden? Or are they gonna double down and stick together, creating their own little toxic echo chamber? My guess, they'll stick together, because misery loves company, and people like that need each other. They need someone to validate their toxicity, to tell them they're not the problem, that it's everybody else who's too sensitive. And as long as they have that, they'll keep moving the same way. But the culture won't be paying attention anymore. They'll be irrelevant, and that's the real punishment. Not being canceled, but being forgotten. And then there's the money, the $100,000 Aiden donated. Some people are calling it a win. They're saying, see, we made him pay. We got something out of this. And yeah, that's true. But let's not act like $100,000 is a lot of money to someone like Aiden. He's made millions. This is pocket change to him. This is a PR move. This is him buying his way out of accountability. And while it's good that the money went to Black-owned businesses, let's not pretend this was some noble act of charity. It was a tax. It was protection money. And if we're being honest, he should have paid more.
So that's where we are. Aiden Ross got pressed. He got humiliated. He got taxed. And honestly, it's one of the most satisfying things I've watched unfold on the internet in a long time. Because for once, someone who thought they were untouchable got touched. Someone who thought they could say anything without consequences faced real, tangible consequences. And that's how it should be. Because respect isn't optional. The culture isn't a joke. And if you try to treat it like one, you'll find out real quick that we don't play that. But this story isn't over, not by a long shot. More details are going to come out, more clips are going to surface, and who knows, maybe Aiden will try to make a comeback. Maybe he'll double down and go even harder, or maybe he learned his lesson and he'll actually grow from this. I doubt it, but anything's possible. What I do know is that the culture won. Hip-hop won, and that's what matters. Because this wasn't just about Aiden. This was about setting a standard. This was about saying, if you disrespect us, there will be consequences. And now everybody knows. The line has been drawn, and if you cross it, you better be ready for what comes next. So drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Aiden actually learned anything from this? Or is he just waiting for the heat to die down so he can go back to his old ways? And do you think this is going to change how other influencers move? Are people going to be more careful now, or are they going to keep testing the culture until they get pressed too? Let me know what you think, and make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Because this story is far from over. I'll be covering every twist, every turn, every new development. I appreciate you for rocking with me. Stay safe out there. And remember, the internet don't forget. Peace.